call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, gotta feel the vengeance. In my thoughts,
Welcome back, everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you like this video, and comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you have any ideas of what I'm talking about, if there's a different ideology that you have. Let me know whatever you think. But what we are going to do is we are going to discuss what I believe and what it looks like the Dolphins are moving towards. I think a lot of people in this offseason, they are trying to come up with this 2-year window, and they, of course, we want to have that 2-year window. Everybody wants to win a Super Bowl. That's the point of every NFL team playing in the NFL, is that they want to win a Super Bowl. No team doesn't want to win a Super Bowl. So when the fan base is basically saying that we are doing things for this 2-year window, there are plenty of teams that have had 2-year windows or whatever windows. I think there is a different ideology that we have to set forth for this team. And basically what I believe we are trying to do is a very simple but very intelligent approach towards the offseason and towards creating a football team. Now, right now, everybody wants us to sign and do a whole bunch of things, but we have to understand that we have no cap space left. We actually did sign a lot of players. We signed an enormous amount of players this offseason, probably more than we've signed in a really long time. And on top of that, we've brought a bunch of players back. Now, when we hit June 1st, there are going to be a Byron Jones cap increase, and that's what we're waiting on. But as of right now, I think we have close to, I mean, we don't really have any cap space left. I think we have to do a couple things. We might have to cut some people. But essentially, we don't have cap space. We are not going to sign anybody else. And what I think we need to realize is that what this team is going to be built on is we are going to develop and make the best out of every player that we draft and bring in. We are going to maximize all the talents of every single person on this team. You have to look at essentially what we've been doing the past couple years under Chris Greer, and that has really been where we're essentially just trying to grow players. If you look at most of our players, we have a couple of trades that we do every year, and we sign a couple of high-name free agents, usually just one. And what we try and do is every one of those players, we try and maximize their talent. So basically, the top amount of players that we have on this team, half of them, or if not more than that, were drafted. We are trying to build a team that is based off of draft. We are not trying to build a team based off free agency. And what I can say to that is that we've had plenty of Dolphins teams that have been based off of free agency, and they haven't worked out. We spend all our money on big name players, and they don't work out, because things happen. You spend a lot of money. You don't know if the scheme's going to fit, the coaching and the player are going to fit. You don't know if they're going to get an injury. You don't know anything. So what we are doing right now, and what it looks like we're doing, is we are trying to build through the draft, get young players in free agency, and trade for the stars that we need if we need something at that position, and then build all of those players to maximize their potential. That is why they signed Mike McDaniel, and that is why they got Vic Fangio. They wanted to do that with Brian Flores, but he would not bring in an offensive coach because he did not want to listen to anybody. So what they tried to do is they tried to build the defense first, and it worked for a little bit with Brian Flores, but he would never make an offense. And now what they're doing is they got an offensive coach that allows people to put input, and they also got a defensive coach that is going to work with the head coach and basically act as a second head coach on the team, but for the defense. And again, what we are trying to do is we are trying to get all of our players to maximize their potential, and we are trying to build through young players. We are not trying to get aging players. I think the oldest player on our team is Teron Armstead and Tyreek Hill. Those are the oldest players. Tyreek Hill's not even in his 30s yet, and Teron Armstead is 31. Whereas most teams, they bring in these guys that are close to their 30s, 35, and that's kind of what we wanted to do in the offseason. I'm hearing as a fan base, we wanted to get, Bobby Wagner, which I would have loved it too. But what I think we're doing with the signings that we have with David Long and with Deshaun Elliott, we have the draft guys that we have, and we are trying to get guys that fit our scheme and that we can maximize and make them like the players that were in the free agency that we could get. Yes, a CJ Gardner was out there, but we got a Deshaun Elliott that could possibly be very similar to CJ Gardner for an eighth of the price. And David Long, the same thing. Instead of spending $50 million on a Bobby Wagner and not getting all these other players that we needed, David Long cost 2 years, $11 million, so $5 million instead of a $15 million contract. And again, like I said in my second to last video, is I think we are trying to build with Austin Jackson. And we are trying to mold him into a right tackle so that we do not have to pay for a right tackle. And I think what we are going to do is we are going to see what happens in the first couple of weeks. And if we need to, we'll trade for a right tackle. And that's what I think we'll do. I believe we probably will draft someone in the draft, which I'll make a mock draft as well. But I like the way that we're going with the Dolphins. And I think people have to calm down and let the system take over, in that we are not going to be the team anymore that gets the big names, which we still do. I mean, we landed to Jalen Ramsey. We have to take a look at the Patriots. We have to take a look at the Patriots in that you have to look at what they were doing during the Super Bowl run. We believe that we have a quarterback that we can win with. And what we are doing now is we are not in a 2-year window. We are in as long as this quarterback is on our team and he stays healthy, we have a window to get there. We are not in a 2-year window. We are in a window that if our quarterback stays healthy and he keeps playing the way he's playing, that's the window. So what I think we're trying to do is, we are not trying to be a Rams. We're not trying to be like those teams, the Buccaneers, that you essentially do everything you can to win it. And you can, and that's great. But afterwards, you're in rebuild mode, and you have none of your players left. What you have to look at with the Patriots is that for a dynasty like they were, all they were doing was drafting players, adding a big name free agent every once in a while, and then allowing their players to maximize their potential, so that you would see receivers and running backs and all these different things that would become the best that they could there, and then they would go somewhere else and they weren't really the same. And that is due to coaching. That is due to a front office that is getting all the players that they think are scheme fits, instead of just getting a big name player that is going to bring in money. What they are doing is they are getting players that look like they are scheme fits for this team and can maximize their potential to be a star, or to be close to a star, or be a pretty good player on the team. Long gone, I think, are the days, and I'm happy about it, of just signing, Ndamukong Suh in the offseason, or somebody like that we've constantly tried to sign, the linebackers that we've tried to sign, all of those people that were like in their 30s, and they just, we got them too late and $1 short, and it just never works out for us. We spend all of our money on those players, and yeah, it's cool to get the big name player, but then you don't have the other players in place to make the team good. And I think that is where we're switching our focus these days, is that we are drafting players. Yes, we don't have many draft picks in this draft, but it was to bring in a Bradley Chubb who's 26, and to bring in a Jalen Ramsey who's 28, and to bring in some of these players, a Tyreek Hill when at the time he was like 27. It's to bring in these young players that are superstars. You bring in one, maybe two, depending on how the season's going, and then you fill out the rest of the roster with free agency. Not try and get basically what we were trying to get, like an Orlando Brown, where you get him and then maybe 2 other players, and then you're rolling with the same team again. Also, it makes the environment great, because essentially, if you are a fit, what it is looking like with the Andrew Van Ginkel signing is that if you are a fit, and if you are playing your heart out, you're going to get re-signed. You're going to stay on this team, and they're going to keep building with you. Yes, Trent Sherfield left and Gesicki left, but what it looks like kind of with those guys, I'm not saying Trent Sherfield, but it looks like with Gesicki is, instead of trying to work his butt off to become the best player he could be. He was just whining that he wasn't getting touches, which again, we'll discuss this, but if you're not able to block, why are you going to get touches? You're not doing what they want you to do, so why would you get catches? Yes, you're a cool weapon to have, but there's a lot of drops, and you can't do anything when it comes to the run game, and we can't disguise anything with you. So what is the point of keeping a player like that? With the Andrew Van Ginkel signing, it's showing that we are trying to build an organization that supports the growth of its players and supports the growth of inner organization people. So we are promoting players, we are getting paid to play. Essentially, the players are doing is that if you show that you have the effort and you're willing to give the maximum effort that you want to give and you fit the scheme, you're going to get another shot and you're going to get paid eventually if you showcase that you are. And it just looks like it's becoming a really good organization to work for, whereas before it was very toxic. It's almost like polar opposites, and it just looks good. It looks like we have to get rid of the mindset of the 2-year window. Yes, we have a window right now, technically, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring in everybody so that we can continue to have that window, that we're not just doing it for 2 years, that we're becoming something special. And I think it's pretty awesome. So that's my spiel. Everybody that was commenting on the lighting, I hope this came out a little better. You know, I kept telling you I was trying to work on it, and I think this is going to come out better. So tell me what you think in the comments. But as always, have a great rest of your day. Fins up. Peace.